Let's practice some more with that events countdown. I have a folder here called Events Countdown. Inside of the folder, you see eventcountdown.html. That's my main web page. I'm going to right click it and hit edit with Notepad++. I have a folder called Box, and when I open it, I have a variety of external JavaScripts. I have questionmarks.ico image file, which you can see as my folder icon. I've got an external style.css file for styling purposes. So let's right click all of this stuff and edit with Notepad. All of it except for the image. We don't want to look at the image file in Notepad. We don't care about that. But I can remind you how to make a folder have an image icon of your picking or of your creation if you create one in Paint. You open Paint, and if you already have it in this box of like this box is 100 by 100, that's what you do. You get it 100 by 100 or close. This is 100 by 98 actually, and then you make whatever little design you want. Let's say we want something like this star, and let's give it a green background, and let's give it a black center. Let's outline it with black as well, a thick outline. I think this is going to work. There we go. Outline the box. There's nothing too masterful about that. We're going to save it as a bitmap picture, and let's save it on the desktop, and let's call it I don't know, I guess I can call that a star. Alright, it's saved as a bitmap file. Okay, it's 100 by 100. Now I'm going to right click it and I'm going to rename it, and instead of it being a star.bitmap, it's going to be a star.ico. Okay, if you change your file name extension, the file might become unusable. Are you sure you want to change it? Yes, we do. Alright, so there we have it, and I'm going to go in this folder and I'm going to slide this star.ico right into my box folder, because the only thing I want is my main page to be double clicked. I don't want all this other junk to be messed with. So I've got this folder that has this current image that I created in Paint, but I'm going to right click the folder and go to Properties. Then I'm going to go to Customize, then I'm going to go to Change Icon, and now I have to browse to the icon that I just created. So I click Browse, and if it doesn't go to your desktop, you might have to manually go there. So you would go to Desktop, then you would go to the folder that you're trying to change, and then you go in Box where you just put your image, and I just messed up because I didn't mean to hit that. I'm going to hit Star.ico, I'm going to hit OK, Apply, OK, and voila, I have a different folder icon now. And so it's kind of nice when you're doing a little bit of random programming that you give yourself this little eye candy, if you want to call it that, to remind you what you're working on, or I don't know, just to do it for the sake of doing it. So let's go into the Events Countdown folder. Again, make sure that that is open, and if I'm not mistaken, everything I need is open in Notepad++, and it is. Alright, so I want to have my my code on the left hand side of the screen, and I want to have the web page on the right hand side. So I go to my eventcountdown.html file, I hit in Notepad++ Run, launch in Firefox. Okay, now I want to see both of these, so I click what I want to stay on the left hand side of the page. I select it, then I go down in the corner, I right click, and then I say show windows side by side. So now I have an even section here, my code on the left and the browser window that gives me my output on the right. Now what I have here is I have 4 field sets, and in each field set we have elements that output some data based on some JavaScript, and each element has its own naming convention, its own specific ID, so the JavaScript knows where to target the data. Alright, I have currently made some of these elements disappear because each field set actually has 4 of these rectangles, 4 of these divs that give us a value of days, hours, minutes, and seconds, and then a little message area at the bottom that has the style of a pink background, red font, and this dashed green rounded cornered border. So each field set has 5 elements inside. Counting the legend inside of it, it's actually 6 elements, but I think the legend and the field set are kind of like an attached thing. I don't think those are separate elements, but I don't know. You can have a field set without a legend, but it's nice to have that caption. So for each of these field sets, I have the exact same legend. They all say, guess what? You can change your legend to be whatever you want. All right. Let's start off with, let me make my code really small. EventCountdown.html. This is the web page that you're looking at right here. So I've got my doc type declaration, I've got my opening HTML. If I click on the HTML, you can see it's matching closing tag. So there's only 62 lines of code here. There's the opening closing HTML tag. Here's the opening and closing title tag, and inside it says Holiday Countdown, which is what you see right here in the browser tab. Now let's open up the head. Here's the head, but we have a little plus sign here that indicates there's stuff inside. So let's click it, and let's see what we have. In the previous video, I had my styles inside style tags, and I had my scripts inside of script tags inside of the head tags. Now I have external files, and I just point to them inside of the head. So here's our first pointer, our first link, if you will. Link rel equals style sheet type equals text / CSS href equals box / style.css. So here we're pointing to this style.css, which I will go over shortly. The next thing we're going to point to, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 external JavaScripts, which in each JavaScript file there's a single function, so you're going to see a lot of repetition here. This is not necessarily the efficient way to do it, but this is how I'm going to do it to assist with your pattern recognition of this type of code. Okay, so script language equals JavaScript source equals box / xmas.js and script tag. So there's pointing to the Xmas JavaScript. This one's pointing to the LWBday JavaScript. This one's pointing to the FWBday.javascript. And this one's pointing to the testerday.javascript. So the Xmas JavaScript is going to deal with this field set that has to do with Christmas. The LWBday JavaScript is going to deal with this field set that says before my birthday. This JavaScript is going to do the action for this field set that says before his birthday. And this testerday.javascript is going to deal with the action script for this one way over here on the right. That's going to show the before the alarm message and what happens after the alarm goes off. It changes to this message that says after alarm. That way you can see how the execution works without having to wait for December holidays to come around. All right, with that being said, let's close the head. We're done looking at the linking of external sheets. Before we go into the body, let's look at the style.css because it's relatively simple to look at styles. So for the body of our page, we have 2 styles. These 2. We have the margin set to 0 pixels auto and the padding left set to 5 pixels. For any element that has a class of time box, which are all of these rectangles with pink borders and the data inside, all of them have these 3 things set. The border, the margin, and the padding. They're all set to specific settings. Then all of these that have messages inside with the green dashed borders, all of those have IDs because they're unique. And so we have an ID of Xmas Special Day Box, and that's indicating this one right here. Then we have LW Special Day Box, and that's indicating this guy right here. We have FW Special Day Box, and that's indicating this one before his B-Day. And we have Tester Special Day Box, which is the ID for this tester that says after alarm. Okay, so all 4 of those special divs are going to get, they're all going to share these styles. We've got the same font size, the same color, the same margin top, the same border radius, the same border, the same padding, the same background color, and the same text align. And you can see to the right what each of those styles actually are. Alright, we're almost done. Every field set shares these styles. The same width, the same float, the same padding, and the same margin. Alright, this is where I hid some of the elements. I hid the elements that have ID LW hours, ID LW mins, ID or hashtag LW secs, so for hours, minutes, and seconds of my field set, plus for his hours, minutes, and seconds, we got those. And as well, we made the Christmas hours, Christmas minutes, and Christmas seconds. All of those IDs were given, there's two possible styles that can make them disappear. I Z'd out visibility hidden, so display none is what's happening right now. It actually makes them invisible and takes away the space that they would occupy if they were visible. Now, if we want to keep the space, we want it to be invisible, but we want the space to stay there so it doesn't change the placement that you can see on the web page, then we would use visibility hidden. So it's hidden, but it's still there, and this is what that looks like. The space that it would normally take is still there. Now, if I don't want to hide it in any way, shape, or form, then I just Z out both of these. And what happens is they come right back because they're actually there whether you see them or not. The elements are actually coded in there, and you can see not only are they coded in there, but they're functioning as well. So guess what? It's 214 days, 9 hours, 14 minutes, and 48 seconds before my birthday. Guess what? It's 218 days, 9 hours, 14 minutes, and 42 seconds before his birthday. Guess what? It's 222 days, 9 hours, 14 minutes, and 35 seconds before Christmas. And guess what? Well, this is our tester, and the time has already expired. So because the time has already expired, the alarm has already went off, and what you see is 0 days, 0 hours, 0 minutes, 0 seconds after alarm. Because I stopped the timer, it doesn't show you how much time has expired after the alarm. It just goes to 0. If you want to program it to keep running like these are and show a negative amount after the alarm, that's completely up to you. I wasn't interested in having that information. I just wanted the countdown and then something to happen at the target countdown. So that's everything in my style.css. I'm going to keep all of these elements with these particular IDs visible. So I'm going to keep visibility hidden and display none Z'd out so that they don't disappear on us again. But I'm going to leave it here for future reference because in future code I might go, how did I make an element disappear and still leave the space there? Or, how do I make an element disappear and don't leave the space there? Here, it's just kind of like a cheat sheet by keeping notes, if you will. Alright, so that's everything we need for the style.css. I might as well close it out and make it go away. Alright, we're not ready to look at the JavaScript yet. I just wanted to show you the styles before we get into the body's elements. So the first thing we have is our opening body tag. Again, we already looked at everything in the head. Those were all the links that point to external sheets, external files. So our opening body tag is body onload equals. We are going to call 4 different functions. And the way that I created this is each function is in its own external JavaScript file. That may or may not be something that you want to do. You might want to put all 4 functions in one JavaScript file. I did it this way because it makes learning the pattern and the repetition easier and more concise instead of everything scrolling up and down, everything over and over again on the same file. So we have onload equals LW birthday, empty parentheses, semicolon, followed by FW birthday, empty parentheses, semicolon, followed by Xmas empty parenthesis semicolon, and finally tester day empty parenthesis semicolon. And all of these are enclosed in double quotes, and each of them end with a semicolon. Okay, so that's the opening body tag. Let's click this plus sign in Notepad++ and see what else is inside of this tag. Alright, I have a note for each little section, a little comment, my B-Day. So for my B-Day, I've got this field set here. You're going to see the patterns right away because there's a lot of copy and paste going on, and the only thing that basically changes is the IDs of elements. So our opening and closing field set tag followed by our opening and closing legend. Our legend is like a caption, and the legend for each one of these field sets all say the same thing. Guess what? You can change that to whatever you want. If you don't want a legend at all, you don't have to have one. If you take the legend out and save it and refresh the page, this is what it looks like. It's a field set that's got the nice thin border but no caption. I kind of prefer the legend. I like captions. I like any little extra piece of information that you can give the user is helpful. Okay, inside the field set after the legend we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 divisions. The first division has an ID set to LW days, and it has a class of time box. The class of time box gives us this pink border of outset. It gives us a certain margin and a certain padding. So that is how all of these boxes look consistent, because they all share the class time box. But because we need unique data to go in each one, and it's all dependent on the JavaScript, on the target alarm that we're setting, every single one of these needs a unique name. So this ID for this very first one is LW days. The one underneath is LW hours. That's for this. Under that is LW mins for minutes. That's for this one. And down here the ID is LW secs, short for LW seconds. That is identifying this guy right here. So then when we get to the next field set, we have completely different set of IDs, and so on and so forth. So you see the pattern. The very last div has an ID of LW special day box, and this is going to give us a place to change a message. Before the alarm goes off, we see this default message. After the alarm goes off, we're going to change the message to something different. Okay, so again, this has class of time box, but because we gave it an ID, we can also stylize it by the ID as well. So if you wanted every one of these to be totally unique divs and not all have pink outset, you could do that if you want to, but I think that would make your web page look kind of crazy and ugly. But that's totally up to you. For some purposes, you might want every single division to look different. In this case, not. There's the end of the field set. So we can take this entire thing right here, including the comment, and you can copy this and paste it down here. You paste it right here, and then do some changing. Change the comment from saying my B-Day to his B-Day. And then you don't have to change anything for the field set. You don't have to change the legend unless you want to. But what you do have to change are all these IDs. So instead of LW days and LW hours and LW minutes and LW secs and LW special day box, I just changed the LW to FW. And everything else is the same. And then you take that whole thing again and copy and paste it to create whatever the next little alarm that you want to set. This one happens to be for Christmas. So I'm going to give the ID an identifier that has to do with Christmas and the fact that we're going to come up with days. Christmas hours, Christmas minutes, Christmas seconds, Christmas special day box. And then you can copy and paste that one more time right here and change the note to whatever your fourth timer is going to be about. This is going to be a tester because I don't want you to have to wait until December to see the function run. So we're going to actually do some testing that has to do with the real current time. The legend you can change at your desire. The div, tester days. This div ID is tester hours. This div ID is tester mins. This is tester sex. This is tester special day box. So there's a pattern there, and it makes for easy debugging if you have a problem. If you name everything really wacky and left way out in left field, you might forget what the hell it is. And when you've got a lot of code to look through, you're going to give yourself a headache if you make it if you don't give yourself a nice pattern to follow. With that being said, that's our last field set, the end of the body tag and the end of the HTML. So that's all the code that there is to get what you're looking at right here. Now, this web page doesn't mean crap without the JavaScript that gives us the functionality. So let's close our event countdown HTML and let's take a look at all of these JavaScript files. Again, you're going to see patterns, you're going to see repetition, and you'll probably wonder, you know, how can we make this better? And there are ways that you can make it better, but this right here is done for simplicity and repetition. Let's look at the first JavaScript, because this says before my birthday, so this very first field set is dealing with my birthday. So the function, we use the function keyword, and the name that I wanted to give it to make life easy and obvious is LW birthday. There's nothing in the parentheses, we have no parameters, so it's exceptionally easy. And there's the opening curly brace, and it goes from line 1 all the way down to the end of the whole file. We have one file and one function in the file. Easy breezy. The first line of code, we have a note that says keeps running function every second until we stop it. So this is putting this function in a loop that's going to run every second, because obviously we need it to run every second because we need to see the seconds as they go by. So we have var timer equals set timeout, and in parentheses we have two things. First of all, we are naming the function that we want to run, and then we are naming how often we want it to run. So we want to call LW birthday every second. 1000 means millisecond, so every second we're going to call LW birthday. After that, we've got three variables that we create. We have Lisa, before Lisa, and after Lisa. Lisa is the name of the alarm that we're setting. Okay, so on the left hand side of the equals, it's var Lisa, and on the right hand side of the equals, it's the expression that we want the value of Lisa to be. So we have new date, and in parentheses and double quotes, we have the date and time that we are targeting. December 17th, 2018, space 00:00:01. What this means is 1 second into my birthday, we are going to be targeting the alarm. And the alarm's name is Lisa. Now, we also want to create a message that down here shows before the alarm goes off, and a different message that shows when the alarm goes off. So var before Lisa equals the string before my b-day, which is what you see right now because we haven't reached that day. And then we have a variable called after Lisa, which is set to I'm now 51. So those are the three variables that we created there, plus the timer variable that we created. Now let's determine the amount of time between now and the target date and time. So we start off with this var now equals new date, empty parentheses, semicolon. So on the right hand side, this expression new date is going to give us right now. And so whatever right now is, when the page loads, it's going to go into this variable with the name of now. Then we're going to do a little bit of math and put the result of the math in this variable called timeDiff. So this statement, var timeDiff equals lisa.getTime minus now.getTime. Alright, so whatever this expression results in, it's going to go into timeDiff. Now, we want to do something when the alarm goes off, so we have to do an if-else condition. We're going to test something. If timeDiff is less than or equal to 0, well, this is counting down. As you can see, we're counting down, and once our countdown gets to 0 or less than 0, we want to do some stuff. So this means when the alarm goes off, what are we going to do? Well, we want to make sure that the variable timeDiff is set to 0. We want to clear it so it stops doing the math, so it stops counting down. We do that with clear timeout parentheses timer. And then we want our document.getElementById parentheses double quotes LW special daybox.innerHTML to be equal to the variable's value after Lisa. Now remember, after Lisa is this. I'm now 51. So when the alarm goes off, this is going to say I'm now 51. Now, until this actually happens, until time diff less than or equal 0, until that's true, which isn't going to be for months on end, it's not till December 17th, since this is currently false, we're going to go down to the else statement. The else block is in between these curly braces. So this is what's going to execute every day until the birthday alarm. Document.getElementById parentheses double quotes LW special daybox.innerHTML is going to be equal to the value of the variable before Lisa. And remember, before Lisa was created to have the string before my birthday. Before my birthday. All right. Now, we've looked at the if-else blocks. Let's look at some expressions that are going to be set to some variables. First off, var seconds equals math.floor parentheses time diff divided by 1000. Var minutes equals math.floor parentheses seconds divided by 60. Var hours equals math.floor parentheses minutes divided by 60. And var days equals math.floor parentheses hours divided by 24. After we get those values, we want to grab only the remainders using modulus. So then we're going to take the value of hours, and we're going to say hours modulus equals 24. Then we're going to have minutes modulus equals 60, and seconds modulus equals 60 as well. Finally, we are going to output the variable's values to the specific field set elements that we're dealing with here. So the first statement is document.getElementById parentheses double quotes LW days. So now we're talking about this element dot innerHTML, which means what do we want to see typed in here, is going to be set to whatever the value of days is, which at this point it's 214. Plus, we're going to concatenate this string in double quotes, which is a space, the word days, and 3 dots. So you have 214, which is the variable's value. The variable named days value is 214. Then we're going to tack on a space, the word days, and 3 dots. We're going to do the same thing for each of these divisions. Here's the next one. Document.getElementById parentheses double quotes LW hours dot innerHTML equals hours plus hours dot dot dot. Document.getElementById parentheses double quotes LW mins dot innerHTML equals minutes plus the string minutes dot dot dot. And lastly, document.getElementById parentheses double quotes LW secs dot innerHTML equals seconds plus the string space seconds dot dot dot. That ends that function. Every single one of these external JavaScript files are going to have the exact same function. The only thing that's going to be different is everywhere you see getElementById, it has to target a specific ID. In this case, LWBday.js is targeting everything that has to do with my birthday. Let's close that up. We're going to copy and paste that to something called FWBday.js. So now we're targeting his birthday right here, and all of these elements are dealing with his birthday. So we give the name, we give it a unique name, function FWBirthday, and everything else is the same. Var timer equals set timeout. We're going to call the function FWBirthday every second. Var Freeman equals new date. We're going to target December 21st, 2018 at 0001. The first second into his birthday. We are going to create a default message, var before Freeman equals before his b-day, and then we're going to create a message after the alarm goes off, var after Freeman equals he's now 56. We're going to determine the amount of time between now and the target with var now equals new date. And then we're going to do a little math. Var time diff equals freeman.getTime minus now.getTime. Then we're going to do the if-else thing to check if the alarm has reached its destination yet or not. So if time diff is less than or equal to 0, if that's true, that means the alarm went off, and we're going to do the following statements. Time diff equals 0, clear timeout timer, document.getElementById, parentheses, double quotes, FW, special day box.innerHTML equals after Freeman. Else, if that's not true, the alarm has not went off yet, we're going to do document.getElementById, parentheses, double quotes, FW, special day box.innerHTML equals before Freeman. We're going to close up the else block. Then we're going to do a few more expressions and set them to variables. We got var seconds equals math.floor, parentheses, time diff divided by 1000. Var minutes equals math.floor, parentheses, seconds divided by 60. Var hours equals math.floor, parentheses, minutes divided by 60. And var days equals math.floor, parentheses, hours divided by 24. We want to grab only the remainders by using the modulus operator. Hours modulus equals 24, minutes modulus equals 60, and seconds modulus equals 60. Lastly, we want to output the variable values to the page, which we're talking about this section of the page. So we have document.getElementById, parentheses, double quotes, FW days, .innerHTML equals days plus days, dot, dot, dot. Document.getElementById, parentheses, double quotes, FW hours, .innerHTML equals hours plus hours, dot, dot, dot. Document.getElementById, parentheses, double quotes, FW mins, .innerHTML equals minutes plus minutes, dot, dot, dot. And finally, document.getElementById, parentheses, double quotes, FW secs, .innerHTML equals seconds plus seconds, dot, dot, dot. There's the end of that function, which means the end of this particular external JavaScript file. Let's close out of there. Let's look at the Christmas one. And yes, you're going to see the same pattern. Only thing different is the names. So function Xmas. Var timer equals set timeout, parentheses, Xmas, comma, 1000. Var Xmas equals new date, parentheses and double quotes, December 25th, comma, 2018, space 00, colon 00, colon 01. Var before Christmas equals the string before Christmas. Var after Christmas equals Merry Christmas. We're going to determine the amount of time between now and the target date. Var now equals new date. Var time diff equals xmas.getTime minus now.getTime. Here's our if-else condition. If time diff is less than or equal to 0, time diff equals 0, clear timeout, parentheses, timer, document getElementById, parentheses, double quotes, Xmas special day box.innerHTML equals after Xmas. Else, if that's not true, document.getElementById, parentheses, double quotes, Xmas special day box.innerHTML equals before Christmas. Then we have some expressions to some variables. Var seconds equals math.floor, parentheses, time diff divided by 1000. Var minutes equals math.floor, parentheses, seconds divided by 60. Var hours equals math.floor, parentheses, minutes divided by 60. Var days equals math.floor, parentheses, hours divided by 24. Use modulus. Hours modulus equals 24, minutes modulus equals 60, seconds modulus equals 60. And let's do some output. Document.getElementById, parentheses, double quotes, Xmas days.innerHTML equals days plus days, dot, dot, dot. Document.getElementById, parentheses, double quotes, Xmas hours.innerHTML equals hours plus hours, dot, dot, dot. Document.getElementById, parentheses, double quotes, Xmas mins.innerHTML equals minutes plus minutes, dot, dot, dot. And finally, document.getElementById, parentheses, double quotes, Xmas secs.innerHTML equals seconds plus seconds, dot, dot, dot. There's the end of that function, so we're done with that. Now, my battery's getting ready to die, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to complete this, but this is function testerday, which is a play on words, not yesterday, but we're testing, and we have everything the same. Var timer equals set timeout, tester day 1000. Here is the change. Var tester equals new date. We have today's date, May 16th, 2018, but the time right now is 1407. So 1407 in military time is 1607, so we want to have 16, and let's say 08. And we have before tester means before alarm, after tester means after alarm. Everything else is exactly the same as expected, except for the naming conventions. So if I hit this and hit this, we have 30 seconds. Here you see before alarm. And when these seconds go down, you're going to see all of these go to 0, and you're going to see the message change before your eyes. Right after this turns into 0, this is going to change. And this is basically what will happen to all of these once they hit their target time and date, their date and time rather. 0 after alarm. So see how that changed? And the timer stopped. Everything says 0. There's no more functioning here. It's done. So before the battery is totally dead, what does it say I have? 13 minutes. Let's go through the rest of this code. Var now equals new date. Var time diff equals tester.getTime minus now.getTime. If time diff is less than or equal to 0, we will set time diff to 0. Clear timeout the timer. Document.getElement by ID, parentheses, double quotes, tester, special day, box.html equals after tester. And if the alarm has not went off yet, then this is going to run. Document.getElement by ID, parentheses, double quotes, tester, special day, box.html equals before tester. There's the else, the end of the else. Set some expressions to some variables. Var seconds equals math.floor, parentheses, time diff divided by 1000. Var minutes equals math.floor, parentheses, seconds divided by 60. Var hours equals math.floor, parentheses, minutes divided by 60. Var days equals math.floor, parentheses, hours divided by 24. Here's our modulus. Hours modulus equals 24. Minutes modulus equals 60. Seconds modulus equals 60. And here's our output. Document.getElement by ID, parentheses, double quotes, tester days.html equals days plus days. Document.getElement by ID, parentheses, double quotes, tester hours.html equals hours plus the string hours. Document.getElement by ID, parentheses, double quotes, tester mins.html equals minutes plus the string minutes. And finally, document.getElement by ID, parentheses, double quotes, tester sex.html equals seconds plus seconds. And that's the end of the function. So you've seen how this whole program works. Practice it, play with it, make it work for you, and have fun learning how to code, because it is kind of fun if you ask me.